Besides using physical inventory journals to count the inventory, you can also use physical inventory orders. So let's have a look. I will open the physical inventory orders and I will click on New to create a new document. And you can see indeed that this has the layout as any other document in Business Central. So we've got a header and we've got lines. Now let's start by entering a number. Next, you can enter a description, which could include the location or the person responsible that should do the physical count. And then you can filter on some of these details. So for companies with multiple locations, they will most likely count by location. So in here, I can set my location filter. So for this example, I will select Main. You can also assign a person responsible, an order date, and you can also see the two global dimensions. Now then we need to enter the lines, and you could do this manually, or you could also copy another physical inventory order, but in most cases you will probably have Business Central calculate the inventory. Remember, it's a physical count where we need to compare the physical count with the inventory in Business Central, and if there are differences, resolve these differences. And the first step in the process is to have Business Central calculate lines which will insert the current inventory of our items. There is also, you can also work with counting periods, and for locations with bins, you could use the calculate lines bins function. Now location main doesn't have bins, so I will just go for the calculate lines function. So here you can see a couple of features that you may recognize from the physical inventory journal, like items not on inventory and include items without transactions. So I will leave these two disabled for this example. The calculate quantity expected is enabled because I would like Business Central to insert the current inventory of each item. Furthermore, you can filter on item details. You can also apply a couple total filters, such as location, for example. But because I already filtered my location here, I will just leave these fields blank. Next, I will click on OK, and you can now see that two lines are created. Now, that's not a lot, and that's basically because in my demo company, there are only two items in location main. If you would run the function without a location, you will get more lines. But for this example, these two lines are okay. So what you see now is that we have items, you can see the location code, and you can also see here the current inventory that we have of each item. Now the ultimate goal, of course, of a physical count is to post the differences with the current inventory. Now if I click here on Home, you can see the post action. But if I try to post, you will see that I will get an error because the status must be equal to finished in the physical inventory header, and you can see here that the status is open. Now the only way to finish a physical inventory order is by making a new recording, have users do the physical count, and then finish the recording, which will update the physical inventory order. So remember, with physical inventory orders, you can separate duties. So this is the part in which the warehouse manager could prepare the items to be counted, then create a recording which the warehouse worker can use to do the physical count. And by finishing the physical count or the recording, the physical inventory order will be updated. We can set the status to finished and then post the order. So this is basically step number one, and in order to enable step number two, I can now click here on the Make New Recording action. So here you can also enable a couple of features, so only lines not in recordings, allow recording without orders, so I will leave these blank because I only have like two items. So this is useful when you, for example, already have non-processed recordings, because then you can have Business Central check if items are already in a non-processed recording. But again, I only have two items, and this is my first physical inventory order. as so I don't need to enable these fields. Furthermore, you can also filter here, as you can see, but again, I will just leave everything unfiltered and I will click on OK. So now you can see that physical inventory recording 1 has been created, and in the next video I will show you how to work with the physical inventory recording. In the first step of the process, I've created a physical inventory order. But to be able to post the physical inventory order, we first need to finish the physical inventory recording. So here you can see that the recording is created. So let's go and have a look. You could access the recording from the physical inventory order, but considering that in real life the physical inventory recording is in most cases used by different users, let's use the search function. So I will search for the recording. So in there you can see the physical inventory recording list, and here is my order. So let's open the order. So and this is now actually the document that people will use to do the physical count. So notice that the current inventory is not displayed here. Remember, we had 72 Paris guest chairs and 1 Mexico swivel chair, but here you can see the quantity 0. So basically what you can now do is print the document. You can of course also use scanners in real life. But in order to use the document, you can print it. So let's quickly look at the preview. And you can use the printed document as a counting list where people will write down the quantity counted. So that's similar to a physical inventory journal. Now, based on the quantity counted, you can then enter the details on each line. So I can see the item, I can see the location code. So if this would be an item with serial and lot numbers, you would see here item tracking information, and now I can enter the quantity. Now suppose that in this case we only counted 70 units. I can enter 70. And in this case for the Mexico swivel chair we counted 6 chairs. Alright, so there you go. So you can now see that the recorded is enabled, which means that we literally recorded the number of units that we physically counted. And next we can now finish the physical inventory recording. Now finishing the physical inventory recording will update the physical inventory order. So let's do this. So I will click on finish. Do you want to finish the recording? Yes. So and now you can see that the status of my physical inventory recording is finished. Now let's return to the physical inventory order. So here you can see the order. So let's open the order. So and now you can see here that the field on recording lines is also enabled. This means that these lines have been recorded, which means that the user did a physical count and also finished the recording. So this means that now in the next step we are ready to finish the physical inventory order. Because remember, before we can post, we first need to set the status to finished. So now I will click on finish. So the program will of course check a number of things, whether everything has been recorded and so on. But for in this case, because we only have 2 items, you can see that the system was able to finish the physical inventory order. And now I can also post. So now if I try to post, you will see that it works. So let's check the results. So let's go to the item list. So in one of our items that we physically counted was the Paris guest chair. So I will open the item card, and next I will click here on more options, related, history, and I will go to the item ledger entries. So and let's expand the view. And here you can see now that we have a negative adjustment of -3, which was based on the difference between the current inventory that we had in Business Central and the quantity that we physically counted. So that's an example of how you can use physical inventory orders and physical inventory recordings to do the physical count of your inventory.